Good afternoon, everyone. Actually, just to give him a light feeling, when I and my wife went to Nigeria to study uh, postgraduate diploma in theology, we had our examination and they interchanged the result. So at least you're not the first one, sir. Okay, so to begin with, let me just say welcome to everyone. And of course, my main duty is to introduce the awardee, who happens to be my thesis advisee. And of course, with respect to all the dignitaries here, I may not be able to mention all your names, but of course to our very own, the President of the University of San Carlos, Father Junicio M. Miranda. Of course, the representative from BPI, probably headed by Mr. Mario B. Palau, if I'm not mistaken. And then of course, our very own, our, uh, our Dean of the College of Arts and Science, Dr. Ramon S. Del Fiero, all the faculty that are here, the awardees, the proud parents, and of course, the students. If there are some visitors or onlookers, you're welcome again. So, before I begin with, let me just quote the Word of God that says in Luke chapter 2, verse 52, that Jesus Christ increased in wisdom and stature and his favor between God and man. You know, a composition of a human being is not just on the mental side. That's why I call the awardee, who happens to be my advisee, as is complete, just like Centrum, from A to Z. Complete in what sense? Because in the first place, spiritually, he knows what he wants. He chose USC because he is spiritually sound. Emotionally, he has a high emotional quotient because he knows how to handle pressures. There are lots of pressures that he encountered during the development and during the time where their theses are being developed and designed. But eventually, he was able to handle pressures and even anger. Maybe sometimes he's angry at himself. Socially, he has many friends. And because probably, this is just my own personal point of view, because he has Facebook. Physically, he is also sound because number one, I always see him carrying two bags. One for his notebook and books probably, and then the other one is for his lunch. So physically, he is exerting effort every day because our class is even held in the fourth floor of the Philip Engelen building. Oh, sorry, it's a Bansville building. Sorry. And then finally, mentally, I could say that he is also sound, and that is the fact that he was considered and eventually in this university is one of the BPI DOST awardee. Mentally, I call him as my answer key. Why? Because anytime we have examinations, his answers will be my answer key. Of course, there are times, let's say 95% of the time is my answer key, and of course the other awardee is complimenting him as well. I believe I don't want to preempt much of that because the advisor will have to introduce him as well. And another thing, on a more personal note, he is a frustrated writer. But he proofreads write-ups of other people. He also enjoy, socializing by by going for some because I saw in his Facebook some more on the anime thing like that because based on what he has told me, he said he's more into reading. Anime like that and series or game series like Hunger Games. But of course, without further ado, let me welcome to you to present his thesis or their thesis titled Traffic Light Management System using image processing to detect traffic density. No other than Mr. Kevin Clyde Y. Chu. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Dark one. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, sir, for introducing me. Um, so, I would like to begin my presentation with my PowerPoint with a PowerPoint I prepared. So, my thesis, as mentioned by Sir Duran, is traffic light management system using image processing. So, we just took out the last part of the title since it is becoming a bit too long, but still understandable. So, why did we choose to do this? We chose to do this because we found out that there's traffic congestion and it causes various problems for us. And then we have road accidents with traffic congestion as well. Then with growing number of vehicles, we'll also have more traffic. And we went to the LTO, we asked, and they confirmed it for us that we really are having more registered vehicles. And also, with the CTOM or City Traffic Operations Management Office, they told us that it costs approximately 50,000 pesos for each traffic detector, and each traffic detector is underground. So for this study, we aimed to create a model of the intersections in the study. The intersections were um, just two intersections. Pidal Rosario with Pelaez and Pidal Rosario and Fonquera. So we used a map from the Cebu City Geographic Information System Center, and we used it to model the intersections. And then we got traffic flow information from the City Traffic Operations Management Office so that we could predict the traffic condition. After that, we tried to model the existing traffic system, and we used the fixed time system used by CTOM to implement time allocation. So we also made an algorithm using an image analyzer to adjust the time allocation for traffic phases. So the next one would be developing an image analyzer for the traffic density. We used Canny and Sobel edge detection algorithms to get to pre-process our image. Then after that, we developed the different modules for our project, such as the traffic density analyzer, which in turn has lane traffic density processing, and the synthesizer as well for the traffic density. So after that, we would have to store traffic density information per phase, such as date, time, location, and traffic density. And lastly, we will have to test and evaluate the system force. And we use test cases. We also have a process-based evaluation. We also have a goal-based evaluation. For process-based evaluation, we ask the CTOM personnel and surveyed them what they saw in our system. And for goal-based evaluation, we asked motorists for their opinions on this project. Okay, so from what I mentioned before, we had two intersections. These are Pidal Rosario with Elias and Pidal Rosario with Fonquera. So it's quite a small one though. And we also assumed that there will be heavy traffic congestion, and we'll also be designing this to aid CTOM in their decisions for traffic management. So for this research, it's significant for at least three parties. First would be the motorists, because hopefully this will be able to help them with their traveling situations. Next would be CTOM, since they are the ones who are responsible for managing traffic. And we also have the academe or research, because this will be able to generate new knowledge. So how did we come about making this project? We used a modified waterfall model in that we could uh, easily try to backtrack if we find that there is something missing in our preparations. So for the first phase, we had data gathering. We went to CTOM and asked them for information. We also went to the um, Geographic Information System here in Cebu, and we collected the map of the surrounding area, and we also benchmarked some existing edge detection tools. And we also took snapshots of intersections under the study. Then after that, we designed and coded the system. We had CANI and Sobel edge detection module as an image pre-processing module. Then we created the traffic density analyzer module and the traffic management module. We used C# primarily, and for our database we used MySQL. So for our testing, we had individual module testing, module integration testing, and system testing. This would be for the software side. We would also have to proceed to the next phase, which was evaluation. We asked CTOM and motorists to evaluate this. So we first create the evaluation instruments, of course. Then we have the survey with CTOM, and we also have the survey with motorists. So we used a mean score for CTOM, since their evaluation instrument used a scale, whereas the motorists, their evaluation tool used simply yes or no questions. So we had frequency count for them, and we used descriptive statistical analysis for collecting results. So moving to our theoretic framework, we used edge detection, which I already said we used CANI and Sobel edge detection algorithms. We used the Sobel. Sobel uses convolution masks to detect and create solid edges, and also CANI, on the other hand, uses a special kind of filter to reduce noise, and it follows by finding edge strength, then edge direction, and it will try to make edges. It will try to detect edges from a given image. It may be able to reduce noise, but one concern would be it may have broken edges. So that's why we also paired it with Sobel, so that the lines would be more solid. So we also had to look into traffic control schemes. So we tried to look into fixed time schemes. They operate under the assumption that the history can predict the future traffic flows. But since they are fixed, they can't really adapt to real-time situations. So we tried also looking into traffic adaptive systems, which will take into consideration and adapt in real time. And they can also take into consideration the entire intersection and decide to continue to the next phase or just stay put. So for traffic density, we looked into Oscar and Kamsi. They used video image processing to detect the number of vehicles, and they had something with temporal difference in their approach, and it was limited to the visual homogeneity. So it might look as if there might be just one car because of the speed of vehicles. So that might be a bit of a problem. So this is how our system looks. So we can input images, and they'll be processed by our pre-processing module. It will pass, after being pre-processed, it will go into this traffic density analyzer, or we can simply type in the density so that we don't have to collect images for testing purposes. And after this, we'll be able to calculate the lane traffic density. And after we calculate all the lanes traffic density, we'll be able to get the roads traffic density. With this, we can put it into the database. Also, we can pass this result to the traffic light management simulator, and we'll decide on which time allocation scheme to use, whether fixed time or whether it's adaptive. So we'll also have to adjust the phase time for the intersections under the study. So in here, we can see that for an image that we haven't processed yet, this is what happens if we process it under canning. You'll notice that the edges are taken out here, though Kani really has thin lines, while Sobel here really takes a lot of edges. So the lines here in Sobel are actually very thick, so we combined them. We applied Kani first in Sobel, and we had the Kani Sobel algorithm. Now we'll be able. Now you see that the the edges are now thick and noticeable. So let's say that we put a car. This just for example, we put a car there. After processing it with Kani Sobel, we'll be able to find that it looks like this. So how do we analyze traffic density? First we make a red background. Why red? It's because in the previous picture, you see that it's black and white. If we use pure red, we'll be able to distinguish it from black and white. We may use another color, but we just chose red. So for a red back, we get a red background first, then we get the relevant portion of the road, which is the lane here, this portion, the portion there. Then we paste that polygon onto that background. So far, the polygon is predefined so that it's easier for us to just extract. So after that, we'll try to process this road. If we find a white pixel while analyzing it from row to row, we'll try to color it all the way until we find the last pixel on the side. With this, we'll keep doing it. We'll keep repeating for every row until we'll find that we're now done with the entire picture. And everything is now white. So after that, we calculate the area of this one against the area of the black road. And with that, we'll be able to find the lane's traffic density. So from what I've said previously, the simulator may use the fixed time system or an adaptive system. And it's due to the broken underground detectors that a fixed plan system is used. And with that, the cycle time or the time that an entire traffic cycle will finish is at least 200 seconds according to CTOP. And in our traffic cycles, in our intersections, there are only two phases. The main road, which would be the Pila Rosario Road, and the other road, which would be
So,
either
hindi ba
Frontera
counter?
or
May
Belaez.
counter silang traffic light.
The main road would
Like
have
after
at
pila
least
ka
130
seconds, pwede
seconds
na kang
because it's a
labang
main road.
radio.
That's what Sitong told us. And also, Belaez or Frontera phase would have at least 70 seconds. And we may just adjust this. So, in our adaptive scheme, we assign weights to the roads based on the time given to them. So we have 130 seconds for the main road, 70 seconds for the other road. So with that, we'll divide each by 10. We now have a weight of 13, the other has a weight of 7. And with this, we will use these weights for our phase time adjustment. So we use this formula. Sorry. So the time for a phase would be equivalent to the weighted percentage of that phase divided by the total of the percentages multiplied with the time, the maximum cycle time. How do we calculate the weighted percentage for that phase? We would get the lane density, average lane density of that, multiplied by the weight, and we divide it by the total of the weights. So let's have an example. Let's say that the main road isn't very occupied while the side road is uh, near full. So we'll try to calculate for the weighted percentage for Pedro Rosario. We're given 10%, its weight is 13, and the total of the weights is 13 plus 7, which is 20. We'd get 6.5% from that. It might seem small for now, but bear with me. So for the other one, we have for Pelaez, after inputting our input in our formula, we get 28%. So after that, we have to calculate for the time. For Peter Rosario, we get the 6.5%, and then we add these two together. Then we multiply it by the cycle time. We get 45 seconds. As for the other one, we have 195 seconds. So it's actually a fair traffic time distribution system, so that it won't be so congested in that area. As for case 2, I simply had both as equal, and we'll have 156 seconds and 84 seconds from this. This follows the 13 to 7 ratio. This is this to this is 13 to 7. As for the last case, we have 80% and 10%. So essentially, it's case 1, but with reverse traffic densities. In here, we end up with a lot more time for the main road, while very little for the side road, which should be fair. So after having this evaluated, we had our motorist survey. We asked some questions from them first. If they are aware of the underground detectors and aware that some are broken, and we asked them if they think that broken detectors are problems that we must solve. So 30% of the number we surveyed were not aware that there were underground traffic detectors. So out of those who knew that there were underground detectors, 1/3 of them were not aware that some of the detectors were broken. But as a whole, a little over half of the motorists surveyed revealed that they were not aware that there were broken traffic detectors. So, and almost all of those surveyed thought that these broken detectors presented a problem with traffic management. So, for our other parts of the motorist survey, we also asked if they thought that the proposed system is a solution. All of them said that it would be a solution, though a very small portion said it was not necessary, and a slightly bigger portion said that it was not practical, though mostly we had very positive results. Like around 96% said that it's necessary, around 93% said it's practical, and everyone said it was beneficial, and everyone wanted it implemented. So for our CTOM survey, we asked them if it modeled intersections correctly, and if we had an accurate image analysis, and if it gave the accurate traffic density, and if it modeled the mixed time system correctly, and we modeled the I also asked them if the display was easy to understand and if the instructions for use were easy to understand and if the components were working properly and if the system performance was doing well. So we used a 5-point rating scale where 5 is the highest. So functionality for the first 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, had a mean rating of 4.4 after taking all that into consideration. Our we rated this as completely acceptable because in our 5-point rating scale, 5 to 4.2 would be completely acceptable, whereas 4.1 to 3.4 would be very acceptable. And our usability fell in that range, somewhere around 4.075. And we had an overall mean rating of 4.260, and we had that as completely acceptable. So for our conclusion, we were able to model these intersections successfully, and we also were able to model the faces correctly. As for the image analyzer, we were able to develop it, and the traffic density is also output after analyzing the image. And we had the existing traffic system modeled successfully with the fixed time system being processed. So we also have had the system evaluated by the system personnel focus. So I would like to say our recommendations. We have to implement this as well, and we have to improve the user interface. We also have to how we are going to improve the traffic light management system and when to implement road notifications like road widening. And we didn't use an overhead traffic camera, so we might also have to streamline that. And we might also have to recommend a high-end infrastructure to speed up image analysis or lower image resolution for faster image processing. And we also have to use more image snapshots. So thank you for listening, and thank you. And well, I have the system here with me, and I think I have to zoom in this thing first. So, well, I'm sorry for taking so long in the presentation. So I think
Very close.
I won't be able to present my system. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy.